How do you inject more personality into your brand, help keep customers engaged, and tell a story? One of those ways is by using stop motion in your creative socials, videos, and reels. And today I'm chatting with Alice Loveday, founder of Loveday Social and the queen of stop motion. Alice, thank you so much for joining me today, queen of stop motion.
What a title. Oh, thank you. What a title, Mike.
Well, I've had first-hand experience of how great you are in terms of, obviously I follow what you do, but I'm also part of your memberships, which we'll talk about later. But talk to us about what you do and how you got there.
Yeah, so I run Loveday Social. We are a stop motion studio. We're based in Bournemouth, but we mainly work remotely with our clients and our members, of course, as you said. So yeah, we sort of have almost kind of two sides to the business. One side is our client work. So we create stop motion animations, which is mainly social content for brands. So mostly product brands, but we also do service brands as well. So yeah, we just bring products and brands to life through our stop motion, and we do a bit of photography as well, like creative photography. But we love kind of everything tactile, so we love like paper craft props and just getting like interactive hands in there and any kind of transitions. I'm just a complete sucker for. So yeah, we sort of like to bring things to life and bring a bit of magic to it while we're there. So yeah, that's what we do for our clients. And then on the other side of the business, I kind of have the education side, which is where I teach smaller brands how to create their own content. So through the membership, where I release a monthly challenge for our members, and then I've also got kind of tons of classes, and I do workshops and things online. So yeah, that's kind of the sum of it.
So for people who have never heard about what stop motion is, what is it and why do you think people find it so engaging?
So stop motion is just in the technical terms, it is a series of images that are stitched together, and when played really, really fast, it looks like a video and something is moving by itself. So it's much like a flick book, really, but in photography form. So that's kind of the magic of it. And I think, to answer the second part of that question, why people really love it is because of the magic of it. You can make an inanimate object move, like a real life object. You can make it move all by itself. And that just sparks this kind of joy in people like no other medium can. So yeah, I think that's why it's really good for marketing and for sales, because you can really evoke an emotion in your audience. You can get them feeling joyful, you can get them feeling nostalgic, you can get them feeling like cozy and like happy, you can get them feeling friendly, you get them feeling anything really. You can invoke whatever emotion you like through the art of stop motion in the way that you move a product. And the other reason I think it's great and it works so well is because it's really snappy. So you can you don't have to, like with video, you don't have to, see any of the boring bits. You can just have something jump and it turns into something else.
Yeah.
Or you can have like something boxed and then unboxed in like a split second. So that's why it's working really well right now, because social media, like people's attention spans are so short. So it's like the snappiest, most engaging medium really that you can get.
Yeah, and great for reels as well, isn't it? Like those
Yeah,
5 second
exactly.
reels, 10-second reels. And what are the common myths around stop motion that you think people have? Or maybe not myths, but misconceptions around stop motion.
Well, I think the main one is that it has to take a really long time to create. And while of course it can, and if you're doing a full setup, and for our clients it does take a long time, because we are, doing everything in real detail. We've got the setup really perfect. But if you're shooting things for yourself, for your brand, and you're just doing it on a phone, you can really create stop motions in under a minute. Like I just did a challenge on the membership where I created so many stop motions, and each one of those stop motions took me less than a minute to do. If you do really bite-sized pieces, which is what like people want anyway right now on social media, you don't have to put so much kind of um, well, I guess you don't have to get bogged down in the process of setting up and all of the technical stuff. I think once you kind of get a feel for how to do it, once you sort of know technically, like you've got the apps, you've got a product, like let's just chuck your phone in a tripod, put something there, make sure the lighting's okay, and then just go for it. Like, you can actually shoot a stop motion so quickly, and if you're in the mindset, you can then shoot like 5, in a row, and get all these bits of content, which I think is what's so great about it.
And you mentioned apps there. What are your go-to apps for people to use for stop motion?
Yeah, so there's 2 main apps that I use and recommend. One is called Lifelapse app, which is great if you're an iPhone user. It doesn't, they unfortunately are no longer available on Android. Lifelapse is great because it's really, really user friendly. It's kind of very layman terms of stop motion. Like, you can really, it's easy to use for someone who has never done the stop motion before. Um, and they've also just released a new feature, which is where you can mix stop motion and live action together, which again just brings even more magic to a piece of content. So that's a great feature that they've added. So I love stop motion for those. I love Lifelapse app for those reasons. And then the other app I recommend is Stop Motion Studio. This one is available on Android too. So if you're an Android user, you probably need to go straight for that one. It's a little bit more technical. Like, I'd say the way it's set up is a bit closer to the professional software that we use in the studio. So it might take just a little bit more time to get your head around it. But it's a great app for just once you sort of have figured it out and get a feel for it, just to quickly get your phone in a tripod and start shooting. It's a really great app too.
And we'll link those in the show notes, along with, I know you have some great resources of what kit to use and all of that kind of thing as well.
Kit list, which is the no kit list, because again, I really don't want business owners to get bogged down in like, oh, but now I need to go and buy a tripod, or I need to buy these expensive lights. Like, I hate the idea of people spending money before they've even really tried the medium or got a feel for it or decided if it's something that they want to do, in an ongoing way for their socials. So yeah, I've got a no kit list on there. So yeah, you can find that on my website.
So we'll link that. We'll link that in the show notes. What are the main ones? What are the, say, top 5 for a product business to have in their arsenal to use on a regular basis, or that you've seen that have, they're quick to use, easy, maybe easy to do, or have had the, great results?
I think as a business, in terms of what you want to say to your audience, you want to get across a few different messages and a few, like, communicate a few different sides of your business to your audience. So I think if you are creating like a set of stop motions that are all going to kind of work in different ways for your brand, this is what I'd create. So the first one would be, and probably the simplest one to start with if you're just coming at stop motion for the first time, is a product deep dive. So, or a hero product. So basically that is just taking one product, your best product, and spin it around, show it off, maybe open it up, depending on what it is, obviously, but just you do one product and just show its features, show what it does. Or just, if you don't even want to go as far as to showing what it does, you could just spin it around and just show it in a 360 view. If you think about when people shop, and if they're going into a shop, they go into a shop, they pick something up and they turn it around, they look at it from all sides. So you can kind of recreate that feel in a stop motion just by having an item spin in 360 degrees. So a 360 spin would be the first one of one of your hero products, one of your best-selling products. Then the next thing I would recommend would be a product range stop motion. So the hero product one's great because it gives people a closer look at one of your products. But you also want to show people sort of all the other things you offer, that you do offer other products, that you have maybe different prints, or you have a range of sizes, or whatever it is for your brand. So getting a sort of a range stop motion in there is really great as well. And for that, I actually just recommend a flat lay. And you just lay out a flat lay as if you're laying out a photograph. And then you get everything in, everything looking as pretty as perfect as you can. and then get your animation app open, and then you just animate frame by frame, animate all those items leaving the frame. So animate them out towards the closest edge. So it's kind of like they fan out of frame. And then you reverse that footage, and then it's just like everything's coming in and landing in this perfect flat lay. So that's a really great one to do, and also quite simple. I've actually got a tutorial for a product range flat lay on my website. You can link that.
Yeah.
Just FYI. Um, and then, so yeah, a hero product, a range. I mean, the other thing you want to say to your audience is why you're different. Like, why should people buy from you over someone else? Like, there might be someone else who sells beautiful water bottles that have lovely prints, but why should they buy the ones that you sell? So that is like, stop motion can be a really great way to communicate a USP, your unique selling point, in a more engaging way, because those kind of messages like can be quite difficult to convey. So it might be that it's like the location, maybe your plastic is made, I mean, I'm literally making this up on the spot, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe all your plastic is made recycled from the plastic that comes out of the sea in Cornwall. And you know, maybe the ingredients of your body balm are organic, or from a certain fruit, or whatever it is that makes you different. Like, why are your water bottles better than the other people's? Like, can you recycle them? Do they last longer? Like, is there a certain feature on them that makes them stand apart? Like, what is it that in your brand you work really, really hard on because you're passionate about it? Why you've made that brand, what your ethoses are, like, what is that thing? That's what you want to communicate to your audience. And a stop motion, as I say, is a great way to do it. And you can keep it really simple. You don't need to sort of tell a big story, because I know that kind of concept might seem like quite a big concept for people, and they're like, well, how do I make a stop motion about that?
Yeah.
And you can just sort of do like a transition. So for example, if it was the plastics thing, you could show like
Fishing
a
nets,
load of
plastic fishing
plastic
nets. Yeah, yeah.
plastic fishing nets. Yeah, you have plastic fishing nets, and then you have the plastic come out, and you just bring them together, and then they can just turn into the water bottle. Like, as they
Yeah.
come together, pop, turns into the water bottle. So that's quite a simple 5-second video, but it says so much. Or it might be that if your baby grows, have zips instead of poppers, and they're so much easier to use. And so, obviously you just want to pick a baby grow that's going to be the best one to showcase that. And you might even have some poppers, and then you push them to the side and a zip comes in, or like a
Yeah,
popper
yeah.
baby grow, you push it. And so it's just showing that, like, I feel like if you're worried about how to convey something, doing like 2 states and a transition is really good, like a before and after, or a materials to finished product, or ingredients to finished product, or like, often recycling and sustainability is people's core values. So you might want to show like whatever the item is made from, turning into the product, or you
Yeah.
might want to show your product going into a recycling bin to show that it can be recycled and reused, and then maybe that comes back out, and you show like a cycle of a
Yeah.
product.
The
So
cyclical nature of it.
I mean, there's a million different ways
No,
you
I
can
know.
show
No, it doesn't need to be.
things.
You don't need to have a tutorial on them all, which is great, because I know there's so much that you've got on your website to guide people. But that's great to know that like your top three would be those ones. And I, like you say, with if the body balm, if you've got all your different ingredients coming together, and then pop, it becomes your finished glass bottle that you've done your 360 of
Yeah,
at the
they flood
beginning.
into the bottle. I mean, I could
Yeah.
go for hours on ideas. It's my favorite thing to talk about, is concepts and ideas. So yeah, I mean, don't get me checked. I will be here 2 hours later.
And just speaking kind of in terms of the results that you've seen from clients in terms of how it's helped their businesses grow, can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, so we regularly get feedback from our clients where, they've been using still imagery in their Facebook ads, or they've been using um, video in their Facebook ads, like regular video, and then we create a stop motion for them. And I always try and ask when I remember. It's so hard, isn't it? But when I remember, I'm like, how did it do? Like, I'd love, some stats, please. And we always get, whenever I ask, we always get that it's, really the conversion rate from the stop motion has way superseded what they were previously using, being still imagery or video. So we just know that it works so well, especially with paid ads. We find like it's highly converting for paid ads, because generally the point of the stop motion has a kind of sales angle, but it's that emotional connection as well, which really drives sales. So, and then, we've seen clients use them in welcome sequences and had like, I can't remember the stat now, but one of our clients used their stop motion in their email welcome sequence, and it added it raised their add to cart value by something like 1750%. It was like, I don't even know how that's a percent, because obviously
Yeah.
that was the stat. And then
What
just
do you
like
think about
the subscriber. But the other thing, it's not only about those stats, which and they do really convert when used right in Facebook ads. Obviously, there's a lot of other elements that go into Facebook ads to make Facebook ads work well. But if using a show-stopping creative, if you're going to run Facebook ads, you want to give it the best chance, and to use like a creative like a stop motion is going to give it the best chance. That is what I'd really recommend for Facebook ads. But even if you're not running Facebook ads and you just want to convey a bit more personality through your socials, if you're starting to do it a bit more yourself, we've seen some of our members and people who've done our workshops just say that they've really just noticed a higher level of engagement, and they've noticed their follower rate go up, and just that people it's not all tied up in the numbers either. It's just also about their ability to communicate
Yeah.
their brand to their audience. So people are really more understanding who they are, understanding their products, understanding their point of difference, as we say, and also understanding that like gifting, for example, is a big season for lots of product brands. And another one I'd really recommend would be a gifting stop motion, like an unboxing or a boxing, are able just to communicate who they are as a brand better through stop motion without having to be on camera as well. So if you're someone that doesn't really want to create loads of reels of you on camera as the business owner, this is a great way to be sort of more faceless on Instagram. But through that, they are able to communicate sort of more about their product. They're able to communicate more about who they are, as we were just talking about. And at like gifting times of year, they're able to really well communicate what they offer, like the different types of gifts they offer, who they should be for. Like gifting stop motions and unboxings are great for kind of those busy times of year. Also, just the buying process. So a buyer's journey is a great thing to tell the story of through stop motion. You can show someone how someone might buy from you when they come to your website, for example. Maybe they come and they pick a product. Maybe then they can customize it. Maybe they can then write a handwritten note. Can they choose gift wrap? Then how does it get packaged? It's so great to show someone all of these things before they come, so that they know like what to expect when they buy from you, what their gift is going to look like when it's given, how the person's going to receive it. So you can really lay all of that out in a kind of really nice sort of storytelling way through a stop motion. And those are really good for conversions as well in busy times.
In probably under 20 seconds or under 30, you can take them on that whole
Oh,
journey.
100%. Yeah, you can do like 10 seconds. You can do a buyer's journey. I mean, depending on how many stages there are to your buyer's journey. But yeah, it can be super quick.
And what have been your favorite projects to work on, and why?
We get so many different projects, like we have worked on such a variety of brands, and I because I don't think I can pick an absolute fave. There's a few. I've got a few. We did some for a company called Melt Chocolate, and we were able to make like this van fly with reindeer and create this really festive scene. And that's one of my favorites because it was just so magical. It brought the magic of Christmas and the magic of stop motion together in just like a glorious 10 seconds. So we really enjoyed making that. It involved paper craft, it involved chocolate, it involved like snowflakes. So all the great things. So that was really fun. And then another of my favorite was for a jewelry brand called Fizz and Pop, where she does these like acrylic bees and flower necklaces and earrings and things. And we told this little story of this bee like buzzing through these flowers, and then we show it like coming onto the chain. So there was some really magical transitions in there, but there was also like this really great storytelling element. But it was just a really simple kind of flat lay shoot. But there was just something about it that was so kind of magical, and like it's really summery, so it makes you feel really happy when you watch it. It's all the vibes, you know, it's all about what you're giving off like to your audience. So I think those two really gave off some vibes.
And when people are thinking about doing a stop motion, and we've talked about the ones that, you know, they should have in their arsenal, and definitely do anyway, but how should people approach it in terms of what they should do in the first place? You know, is it like, what do I want this to achieve? What do I want my customer to feel? You know, what's the purpose of
Yeah.
it? You know,
Yeah, so how to come up. So yeah, if you're thinking, I know I want to create some stop motions, but I don't really know what to do, and I've completely run out of ideas of ways to show my product again. Like, because you know, some people might not have loads of products; they might just have a few products, and they feel like they've spoken about them in every possible way they can, and I totally get that. But I'm here to tell you that you haven't. There's so many more ways. So yeah, the process I go through with my clients and what I actually teach in a lot of my workshop is like a method I use called the 3 Ps, and it is basically where you put the purpose first. So the idea is to think about what's the first thing that you want to do. Like, forget about stop motion for a minute and think about what do you want this piece of content to do for you and your business. What do you want it to communicate? What do you want the audience to get out of it? So what's its purpose? Effectively, the first P is for purpose. So um you know, the purpose might be for a product launch. It might be that you want to tell people that you're located in Bournemouth. It might be that you want to tell people about a flash sale, or you want to show off your new range, or the purpose might be something more about telling, you know, your brand story, where the business came from. It might be to answer an FAQ, like this question you get again and again and again, and people just aren't getting about your brand, like, or your products. Like, what is it that people just don't get? That's a great place to start with a purpose. So that's the first thing to figure out, is like, what exactly do you want this piece of content to do? And also to not try and cram too many messages into one. So if you've got loads of different purposes, that's great. Write them all down and then just make a piece of content about each one of those. Don't try and make a stop motion with all those in, because it's going to end up confusing and crazy, and the audience won't get what you want them to out of it. So that's my first recommendation, is just get really clear on that purpose. And then the second one is think about what product or products are going to be best to serve that purpose. So obviously, if it's a product launch, it's going to be that product, but it might be, if it's a feature or if it's that FAQ, then there might be just certain products that aren't going to answer that so well, and certain products that are. Or if the message is not so much about your products, it's more about your location or your ingredients, or your materials, or everything's handmade, then you might want to think about, okay, well, maybe I'll actually just get some more props in here. Maybe you want to get some of your tools in there. Maybe what's like your product that is the most handmade looking product, and think about sort of what's going to serve that purpose the best. So, you know, props are a great way to help add to a purpose. So you have your products, obviously, you want in there, but any props that can help tell that story are going to be a great addition to that shoot. And then the final thing is thinking about what it's then going to do, how it's going to play out. Like, are you going to do a flat lay? Are you going to, you know, show
Like
a
your
step-by-step process
process
of
then,
like
is it?
this.
Would it be your
Yeah,
process
it's like
then?
what's yeah, exactly. Are you going to show your process step by step? Are you going to have things stacking up? Are you going to do transitions? Like, what's the actual way you're going to animate it? How is it going to play out as a story? Like, how's that purpose and those props and products? How are they going to come together and tell that story? So that's kind of the steps I go through to sort of think about, to come up with a piece of content, basically. And actually, for each purpose, there's a million different ways that you can tell those stories. So you've got many options there. Even once you define your purposes, if you outline your purposes at the top, then you're probably actually able to come up with multiple pieces of content, and you'll find yourself with overloaded with ideas to start to work through. So yeah, that's the kind of process we go through.
Amazing. That's so useful for everyone to kind of how to approach it. And where can people find you, Alice, and how can they work with you?
So, the best place really to get inspiration and get some tutorials is our Instagram, which is at loveday.social. So do come over there and say hi. I post lots of little bite-sized tutorials just to give you a little bit of an idea, and also lots of just different ideas to showcase different types of products. So no matter what you offer, what you sell, I promise you there's a stop motion for you in there. Um, and then also, if you're wanting to get started, I've actually got a ton of freebies on our website. So if you go to lovedaysocial.com/freebies, I've got some kit lists there. So that no kit list I was talking about. I've got a free workshop there, and I've got a shooting setup checklist in there. So tons of little like ways to get started in there. And there's like the software and things are on those kit lists as well. So yeah, I recommend that's a good place to start.
And also for the people that are listening, I am not tech savvy, and I have another business that I had put off doing stop motion for, and started doing it with your membership and using that Life Lapse app. It's so easy to follow. So if you're listening and you're thinking, yeah, I really like what Alice is saying, I would love to do stop motion, but I think it's probably going to be too difficult. It really, really isn't. You can
Yeah.
really get started quite easily, and the apps that are there, and with some of your tutorials as well, but like the apps that are there can just really, if you're not tech savvy, you do not need to be tech savvy. Don't be afraid of it, and just enjoy it.
No, don't let the stumbling blocks get in the way. Just bat them to the side. You don't need to be tech
100%.
savvy. You don't need to have a load of kit. You don't need to be able to, you know, shoot well on like a phone. You just need to get a little setup going, and once you get a feel for it, you'll be away.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alice. And I will be back again next week with another great guest.
You are welcome. Thanks so much for having me.